Speedway. The good news, Corey LaJoie, and I'm pretty
Corey LaJoie is going to see the checkered flag.
Took my nickname SUPERSHOE, get my shoe away in the stand, so whoever makes the most noise is going to get my shoe.
What is going on, y'all? It's Josh from Team SUPERSHOE, and welcome back to another episode of the Shoe Show. We're not talking about hey dudes, now we're talking about the one and only Corey LaJoie, the SUPERSHOE of NASCAR, and just anything NASCAR related. Super pumped to have you guys here today. We're talking a kind of a cool experience a couple of fans got to have out in Atlanta a month or so ago. Lisa and Billy are both showing up and telling us how Corey and his kiddos crashed the party in Atlanta for a birthday. I thought that was pretty cool, and pretty cool to hear the story from a fan's perspective. He did mention it on Stacking Pennies, but I thought this would be a pretty cool opportunity to get to know these people and just to hear what it's like to get a party crashed by a NASCAR driver. So if y'all could please, if you're on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, share it on all the social media platforms. And if you're on Facebook, a couple of things. We do have a Team SUPERSHOE Facebook group. It's a group where we hang out and talk much more about racing and Corey LaJoie than we do here. This is more or less than just an outlet. So please come hang out with us there. And we also have a the Shoe Show page now that we can stream shows like this on. So go like that page. Otherwise, y'all, I appreciate you. Let's hang out with some friends and talk some racing.
All right, we'll start in 3, 2.
Man, well, I feel honored that y'all asked me to be on the Shoe Show.
And we're here. How y'all doing?
Good. How are you? How are you?
Good. Derek, thanks once again for coming on the Shoe Show. My trusty co-host. How you doing, man?
Well, I'm doing good. I mean, I'm a little bit heartbroken. I had to, Mr. Lee that does my mani-pedis, I had to let him know that I had something else to do tonight. And so I think when I finally get around to getting manicured and pedicured, he's going to get into the cuticle. That's an angry little Asian guy when he gets upset.
I like how we did not plan to have matching hats too. So, you know,
yes, totally coincidental.
Yeah.
I was just going to show off the new lid, and then you popped up, and then there you were, and so now we can be twinsies.
That's right. So, Derek, just because I have a little bit of an echo, I'm gonna mute you when you're not talking. Billy and Lisa, appreciate you guys coming on the show. Kind of want to just get y'all's, you guys are out in Georgia, right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. All right. And is Atlanta like the home track, or do you guys go somewhere else as well?
Yes, Atlanta is the home track, but we do go other places. I'm probably about 5 or 10 minutes from Atlanta Motor Speedway, actually.
Okay. Awesome.
I'm about 2.5 hours.
Okay. Good deal. Well, I kind of brought you guys on to really just tell us your unique story. Not everybody gets their, party crashed in the, I imagine now is out in what was like turn 4 maybe of Atlanta Motor Speedway, and get to see a race car driver show up and have some cake with y'all. So pretty cool.
It is. Yeah, where we camp, we camp on the outside of the track. We're not infield, and we call it across the world because hardly anybody, most of the time the drivers are riding inside infield, or, they hardly ever come out where we are. And we were having a birthday party for one of our camper friends, Miss Ann, who is from Kentucky. Her birthday was actually the end of September. And since we were there for the race in September, we threw her a little party, and we were just sitting there having a good time. And I saw this golf cart pull up beside my husband's truck, and it just stopped, and the lights were on, and looked, and I was like, what is that person doing? Well, then the golf cart pulls up right beside our tent, and I'm like, surely this person knows that this is not driveway. Like, what in the world are they doing? And Corey was driving the golf cart, and he and a couple of his buddies and 2 of his kids, and he said, do you mind if we sing with y'all? And I'm looking at him going, okay, sure. That was weird. And then I got to looking at his face, and I'm like, why does he look so familiar? And one of our buddies says, "You know who that is, right?" And I was like, "No." I was like, "His face looks familiar, but I can't place him." He goes, "That's Corey LaJoie." I said, "Oh my gosh." I was like, "You're kidding me." So I was like, "Oh my God, that's Corey LaJoie. What is he doing here?" It was the craziest things. And the kids
was
jumped
sitting
right
at
off
the
the golf
table.
course, came
Yeah,
over.
I had my back towards them, and I was taking the candles off the cake, and I heard everybody behind me hoot and holler, and so I was like, well, I got to see what's going on. I stand up, and I was like, oh my effing God, it's Corey LaJoie. And he just looked at me. He's like, I knew who he was.
It was pretty cool. And then his kids got off of the golf cart and came over, and you'll see it. I think there's a couple pictures in there. They came over and they were sticking their fingers in the cake, getting the icing. And Corey was like, "No, don't do that." And then we cut him a piece of cake, and Corey ran over there and ate most of the icing off of the cakes because they didn't want, he's like, "No, Mom will get me if I bring them back all hyped up." So they sang happy birthday with us, hung out for a little bit. It was cool. It was really cool and very, very neat. And he said, "Do you know that?" I think one of the guys that was with him said they have been riding around there for 30 minutes, and we were the first people to recognize who he was.
Huh.
So we thought that was the coolest thing. And then Miss Ann asked me, she said, "How did you pull that off? That is the best birthday present ever." And I said, "Miss Ann, I really wish I could take credit for that, but I'm just as dumbfounded as you are." And when he left, that's all we could talk about. The whole rest of the night was like, "Can you believe Corey LaJoie came?" I mean, what? It just doesn't happen where we are, where we camp at. It's just unreal. I mean, we did have Brad Keselowski many years ago come out, but he didn't come to our campsite. He came to, a couple behind us. But this is the first time we've actually ever had that. And it was super cool that they just wanted to join in the party.
That's awesome.
And then we did more research on Corey and come to find out that the lady we were celebrating her birthday for, their birthdays are on the same day.
Okay.
The exact same day. So she went up there to get his autograph at the trailer. And
Nice.
she told him, we share the same birthday. 40 years apart, but we have the same birthday.
So
that's awesome.
Before this incident went down, before this happening, who was her favorite driver? Because obviously it better be Corey LaJoie now.
She doesn't really have a favorite driver. She just like all of them in general. But she did say that now her favorite new driver is Corey LaJoie.
And that he was her number one fan.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. It looked like he made himself at home out there in the campsite. How long was he hanging out with you guys?
Yeah. He did. He got right off the golf cart, and they were all, not him, but the other buddies that he were with, my husband, they were all doing, partaking in adult beverages together. So they probably stayed for a good 20-25 minutes.
Nice. That's awesome.
That's a lot more casual than just popping in and saying, "Hey, I saw you at my flag."
Right, it was. And he took pictures with everyone. He signed some autographs for them. I mean, it was just really cool. He's a very cool guy and very down to earth. It was like if he was one of our buddies and we'd known him for a long time. So that was really neat.
It was.
Yeah. That's super cool. Yeah, it's Corey is definitely unique because he is kind of just one of us. He has made us feel at home real quick. And, Derek and I, we've been doing this for a few years, but we're just fans. And we just kind of got this opportunity where they said, we'd like you to do more stuff for the fan page. And we were just like, yeah, sure, whatever. Just, schmoes to do normal jobs in different states. And Corey and the team, they've always been super cool with us. So cool to see some of these guys we watch every weekend be humble enough to just chat it up with us and just do normal things.
It is.
More drivers need to do that to get their fans.
Yep, I agree.
Well, I would actually disagree, because then that would take away from how special Corey is to us, because the fact that he does do that, like, for example, the first time I actually met him in person at Daytona, it was before the dual races, or no, it was before the dual races, and him and Ross Chastain were the only two drivers that were actually down where the fans were cutting across to get into the stands. And once he saw some fans kind of gathering around, now I'm going to admit, if you look at the shirt, I'm wearing the Kozlowski shirt. At the time, Brad was my number one guy, and the fact that I'd seen Corey on TV, and he was actually willing to come over. And there was a young lady that met him before I did, and she had the Corey LaJoie shirt on. She may even be a member here. She better be. And she was flipping out, and he signed the shirt for her and took a picture. And he was willing to stop and take a picture with me. And then to bookend the story, as far as how humble he is, later that year, my son and I went to Talladega with my brother and my nephew. And this day was the day of the Xfinity race. And I've told the story before. There was a dude walking around that looked like Corey LaJoie. And I'd seen him several times. But then we go to the cheeseburger stand because we're getting hungry. It's before the race. And they're doing Invocation and National Anthem. And I'll look over, and there's a dude standing there that looks like Corey LaJoie. But kind of like what you touched on. You're like, that looks like him, but is it him? And then after the National Anthem, he put his hat back on his head, and he turned around, and I saw the shirt, the Spire Schluter shirt. I was like, no, that's Corey LaJoie. And then he was nice enough to take a picture with my son. And I was just blown away, because I was like, dude, what are you doing here? I was like, I'm just getting a cheeseburger, man. So he's like one of us. He just happens to race cars,
Yep. Yeah, he's pretty cool, man. It's and it's cool to hear y'all's story. Did y'all learn anything interesting about him when he was out there? Like, is there some story that he told y'all that anything out there that, or maybe there's something you can't tell us? I don't know.
Well, there's nothing that he told us, but there was something that one of the guys that was with him alluded to. But I think everybody already knows that anyway. I asked him, did he have a ride for next year? And he's one of the guys was like, yeah, no, can't tell you, but yeah, sort of.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, gotcha. So, but he didn't. That was pretty much it. He just was talking to everyone.
I wanted to share. This is, we were talking about, just kind of how cool Corey is. We've been following him for a few years now, and this was something that meant a lot to me. That's my daughter, and he sat down, and actually Mike, who unfortunately couldn't make it tonight, him and his son were there right next to her, and they were just sitting there having a conversation. And he's had many conversations with my daughter, and this is out in Daytona, I think in 2021 or maybe 2022, and he's just such a down-to-earth guy. So cool to have that, and cool to support him. It can obviously be a little bit of a struggle to be a fan of somebody that is, not, like, Kyle Larson or whoever else that, has their equipment or whatever. But it feels really good to support somebody that ultimately feels like a friend,
Right.
So nowadays it's kind of hard to come by, unfortunately. So
that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely is.
We talked a little bit before the show, and we didn't talk that much to Billy because she popped on right before we went live. Billy, who was your favorite driver?
I started out with Jeff Gordon, and then I went to Jimmy, and then I went to Kyle.
Oh, that's right. I saw a picture. Both of y'all are Kyle Larson fans then, huh?
Yeah.
Well,
I
we're going to
tried
have to work on
him
that.
in the beginning when he first came out.
We like Corey LaJoie as well, though.
Yeah, I've always watched him. I watched wrecked. I watched him on TV and I was just like, oh no. And I told him that, when I seen him, I was like, no more doing this. He's like, thank you for telling me that. I'm like, that scared me.
We can't really hold it against Kyle Larson that he doesn't crash birthday parties in the infield or campsites because he's kind of busy racing cars all over the place.
Exactly. He's way too busy.
Yeah.
I did meet him in Atlanta, though. February's race. Was it February? I think it was February's race. I did meet Larson in Atlanta. So that was
got
kind of
his autograph.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But it wasn't as cool as being crashed by Corey LaJoie because it was more personable. It wasn't across the hauler and, hey, sign this for me. Nice smile.
Right.
It was just like he was with us.
Down. Yeah. It was like he came to us.
Like our buddy was just coming to hang out with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, good luck next year. Hopefully, I don't know how y'all are going to trump that now.
Well, we trying to get his merchandise at Atlanta. The only thing they had was a flag, and they wanted like $50 for a Corey LaJoie flag.
Well, I mean, if y'all go to CoreyLaJoieRacing.com, there's lots of stuff over there. They may even still have it discounted. It was discounted for a while.
Yeah, we were going to buy something in Atlanta just because, he came to the campsite and just, just to add it to our collection. But they didn't hardly have anything, I guess, because, he technically didn't have a ride for next year. So but he's been kicking butt in this new car since he and Haley swapped, which is fantastic. I've been watching him. Yeah. I watched Haley when Haley was driving trucks. So Haley is another one that I liked. But I don't know, something about swapping that car has been a good thing for him so far.
Yeah, I think Corey's a little bit extra motivated right now. Can't be too good of a feeling to be swapping rides like this towards the end of the season. So,
right.
So we'll see. Hopefully, I've been surprised. Both Derek and I have been trying to stay optimistic, but he went from Spire that has 150 or so employees working on all the cars to maybe 25, 30 employees working on 2 cars.
Wow.
So it's all about people in this business. So you got, guys like Hendrick and the 48 and the 5, and they have 500 people working in the organization. So it's all about how many brains you have and hands you got in the engine bay. So,
and it's also how they click. You have to be able to click with each other in order to have a good thing. Doesn't matter if you have 500 people, 1,000 people. If you don't click with at least a few of those, it's not going to really mean a whole lot.
Right.
And that's one of the good things about Rick Ware Racing. It's kind of almost like, not necessarily, I don't want to call it taking a step backwards, but essentially compared to where Spire is now, it is essentially taking a step backwards to where Spire was a few years ago. And there's fewer people, so you can have a closer relationship with the people. You've also got guys over there like Tommy Baldwin, whose son just won a championship in the modifieds out at North Wilkesboro, I believe. And even though he's been a big name in the sport, he was Casey Kane's crew chief back in the day. Had his own team for a little while. Him and Corey seemed to click. I stopped off. I went to pick my brother up to bring him to Talladega, and I stopped off at the seat shop. And I was talking to some people over there, and they said that that's something that they weren't expecting, but it's a good thing because you got somebody like Tommy Baldwin and somebody like Corey LaJoie clicking with one another, then that makes the kind of the sky the limit because you can only grow from the point where they're at now. Yep. So all you need to do is add one to your 5 shirts, and you'll be on the right path.
There you go. Tijuana. There's nothing wrong with it.
Or I'll just make my own 51. I like that design that has the cracks in it.
Oh, the cracks? Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've been looking at that. I'm going to try to make it on my Cricket.
Yep.
I think that's a Michael Bostic special design, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. If he was here, he could tell us about it. It's a long and depth story, and one day we'll have him here on the show, and he'll be able to explain the long and depth story of whether or not the people he's hanging out with, if they've had enough adult beverages, they may get confused as to whether or not he's a huge Corey LaJoie fan or a huge Justin Haley fan.
It's true.
And since he's not here, we can pick on him a little bit.
Yeah, that's right. He's on his own.
I mean, but yeah. So I mean, so how do y'all like when you're watching the races now that you've got this guy that came into your campsite and kind of had an effect on your lives? How does that affect how you watch the races now? Like, are you because Corey obviously is not going to get the attention on track that Kyle Larson does. So do y'all kind of try to keep track of where he's running?
Oh yeah.
I do most definitely. I look for him, like when they do driver introductions. Like when I watch the race at home, it's like I'm watching the race there. I stand for the national anthem. I bow my head and pray. I get all excited, like if I do when I'm at the race, and I find out where the drivers I like. Of course, Larson is my top one, but I do find out where they're starting. How their practice went, where they qualified, how they're doing and where they're doing. And I was totally 100% rooting for Corey. I was like, wow, like his finish was great at this race. And I was like, whoa, come on. I seen him up there and I was like, wow, the top 10. And then, dropped down a little bit, but most definitely, I mean, regardless of, there's only one driver that I probably would never do that for. I will talk about who that is, but no matter what. But he most definitely made an impact on me because, like you said, it's very unlikely that you will see a Kyle Larson or a Joey Logano, maybe, those guys come out and be so personable and take time out of what they could be doing to do what he did. I mean, he made our night. He made our whole weekend. We still talk about it. And it's just
we do. We do talk about it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. Y'all may have Kelly to thank, because if Kelly was there with the baby, she may have just needed a break.
Maybe.
And
we would have took that baby.
Told him, take the boys and go anywhere but here. So.
Well, he was adamant that he was not bringing those boys back home hyped up on sugar. I promise you that. So
I think he got more trouble for that than drinking beers.
You can give some truth to that. She's like, get out of here. I just need a break.
Awesome.
So what about Miss Ann? I know you said that she doesn't really have a specific driver. Is she more prone to look for Corey now than?
Oh yes, most definitely. She told us after that, she said, I am your number one fan now. And she went and got his autograph. I think she even bought something when she went to the trailer. So yeah, most definitely.
Good deal. We need more Corey fans. I mean, it helps. It helps because the unique thing about a Corey LaJoie fan, and I've experienced this firsthand several times, is you don't always see somebody wearing Corey LaJoie swag at the racetrack. And I haven't been a Keselowski. Well, I still am a Brad fan. I don't think you follow somebody and then stop liking them when you move on to another driver. But there's something special about your driver getting booed, and Brad is not very well liked at Talladega for some reason. I don't know why. I think it's got something to do with the fact that Carl Edwards decided he forgot how to drive off the nose of Brad's car that one time in 2009. But special thing about a Corey LaJoie fan is you don't see a lot of them around. So when you do see somebody wearing a Corey LaJoie shirt, it's like this immediate, you immediately have that one thing in common, and it's a substantial thing. It's not just like, so no offense, I like Kyle Larson. I think he's really great for the sport, but the Kyle Larson fans, and like I said, it's not meant to offend you, but the Kyle Larson fans, the Chase Elliott fans, there's people that are just like my nephew, for example. My nephew is a Chase Elliott fan, but he's not the bandwagon fan, right? And I'm sure as a Kyle Larson fan, you've seen that there's this huge fan base that's just strictly bandwagon fans. And if you see another Kyle Larson fan, it's just like, oh, okay, well, there's one of the 70 or 80 that I've seen today. And since this is a video going out and my nephew may hear about this, I have to defend him. He is a Chase Elliott fan, but it's legit. It's not bandwagon. I told him when he went to his first race, he's like, well, who do I watch? It's like, well, you can watch Corey LaJoie. I mean, that's the best one to watch. But he's like, no, I want my own guy. It's like, well, I think you kind of favor Chase Elliott a little bit. He's like, oh, okay, maybe we'll see. So then we got there, and then he saw Chase Elliott's car, and he's like, oh, I like that car. So the car's cool. And then Chase Elliott won the first race that he went to. So he became a Chase Elliott fan, what I call the proper way. Not just, hey, look, his dad raced and, he's ingrained in the nature of the sport now. He's the most popular driver. How could you not like him? Now, Old Clyde's got more than enough fans. So, let me formally welcome you here to the Corey LaJoie fan group. We welcome our new penny stackers and welcome to Team SUPERSHOE.
Thank
Thank you. I'm honored to be a part of it.
Yep.
Yes.
And if it happens again, we'll let you know.
I was a big 48 Jimmy Johnson fan from his rookie year. Didn't know that he was going to be a successful driver. I just picked him because my first job was Lowe's, and my mom's favorite race car driver was Jeff Gordon. So they were teammates, so it worked out, and he turned out to be great. But I also, Larson's fans and the fans nowadays, they jump on a lot quicker to the bandwagon, because I remember I was a fan of 48, and up until he got 4 in a row, I never saw a 48 t-shirt. Now, granted, back then it was, it was cool to be anti-Jimmy because they were picking on him and Chad Knaus and the little things that they were finding out in the gray area and the tech and then the inspections, but getting caught cheating or whatever you'd want to call it. But yeah, so we've definitely been there, and this is definitely a different experience picking a guy that's kind of starting from the bottom, so but being here for a couple of years is no other way I'd want to do it now. So,
and the racing around Corey is much more intense than so. Like when Kyle Larson gets out there and leads all of the laps and is seconds away from the people behind him, you don't really get to experience racing. And this new car doesn't really favor racing and a lot of passing. But when you're watching guys like Corey and Justin Haley, sometimes Carson Hocevar, which you may see them from time to time if you're watching Kyle Larson, because he has to come back through them frequently. But the racing is a lot more intense back there, and the TV broadcasts, they don't show that. So now that y'all have a reason to look at the back of the pack or the middle of the pack, which is where we prefer to say Corey runs, and his finishes as of late would reflect that. The NASCAR app is phenomenal. You could, I think it's like $5 a month, and I'm not promoting NASCAR stuff. I don't really care for their politics and the wishy-washy calls that they make, but their app is phenomenal for watching people other than your front guys, your front runners. You can do it's just like a scanner. You've got the in-car radio. You've got some guys have multiple camera views. And so you can switch back and forth, and you don't have to stick to one. Like, you can watch Kyle, and then once Kyle's up there, like with a 30-second lead, you can be like, oh, it's kind of getting boring. Let me see what's going on back in the pack.
Very boring. I will tell you, I'm a Kyle Larson fan, not a bandwagon fan. I picked him just like I picked Jimmy all them years ago, but races are very boring whenever it's Larson or whomever's in the lead. And like you said, they're out there by themselves. That's boring to me. And I will immediately move to where I see the action. Like, where you see the people getting all close together and stuff. That's the kind of racing I like. I don't like this crap where Kyle Larson or whomever leads 510 laps and nobody can touch them and it's not a race. That's not racing. I'm used to the old school racing, like Winston Cup, when it was actually let's really race instead of one car leads all the laps and then nobody else has a chance. That's not my kind of racing.
It is fun watching Kyle come up from the pack, though. When I was at North Wilkesboro, it was entertaining to watch him come from the back with fresher tires. And I kept throwing elbows at my brother sitting next to me. It's like, dude, watch Kyle Larson. He's going to go into this corner. And he was passing, like, you had your traditional passing lane, like the guys would pass on the inside. Kyle Larson was passing them high, low, passing two at a time sometimes. But then once he got up there and was kind of walking away with it, I never thought I'd get bored watching a race in person. But that, I don't want to say it got boring, but it definitely did. It didn't really stimulate my senses like it should have.
I think me and you were texting on that race, Lisa.
Yeah, probably were. There's been several races in Atlanta that we've gone to, and I'm like, what are we watching? Like, what is happening? This is not a race. This is so boring. Like, we weren't even paying attention to the race at some points. We were like, wait, who's leading? Who's where? Wait, where is everybody? Because it was awful. It's just not, the racing that we've had towards the end of not this race, this past race, but the few races before that, when it's been a photo finish, that is racing. That's the kind of thing that gets me excited and makes me want to, I don't care. I will root for almost anyone. There's one driver I will not root for no matter what, but.
Who is that? You keep saying it. You got to let us know. You can't keep us in the dark. It's not like he's going to take it personally.
Kyle Busch.
Oh, well, I figured it was a good chance we would agree with her. So,
yeah.
Well, I was thinking Denny Hamlin, but see, that's why I asked.
Hamster? I don't like Hamster either, but Kyle Busch is one that I don't care what he does. He could come and kiss my feet, and I still just wouldn't like him. He's just one that he just rubs me the wrong way. But
yeah,
it's the racing that we're all here for. And, I like the story, what you guys were saying, how, Corey is not a nobody, but he's not as popular as Chase Elliott. You're right. I would say probably 95% of Chase Elliott fans are bandwagon fans. I'll probably get a lot of crap for that, but my sister is a Chase Elliott fan. Why? Because he's the most popular driver. That's somebody's opinion. You know what I mean? I like to see the guys that are coming from, the back, are working their way up, that are making their own name. Justin Haley, for instance, he drove truck for like a hot minute. Then he kept going places. Carson Hocevar, another good one. He is a great kid. Met him in Talladega. He is super nice. And when he gets in the right car and gets with the right group, I think he's going to be somebody too. Corey has a shot and a chance to be just like Kyle Larson, just like Chase Elliott, just like whomever. Most popular driver, based on my opinion, I've met Chase Elliott as well. I would have to say Corey, because Corey is more personable and Corey did something out of the norm that people wouldn't expect, that gave you that warm and fuzzy feeling. Chase does what Chase does because that's what people expect out of the most popular driver. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't even think about it till just now. You got to be careful talking negatively about Chase because he's also like a hometown boy too.
Okay.
He may be from Dawsonville, but he is on our team. I do not dislike him. I have met him. He is a nice guy. Don't get me wrong, but I don't like bandwagon fans. Like, like it. You need to have your own opinion, and you need to like whomever you like, regardless of whether people like them or people like you liking them or not. And I do have a problem with that. When people are like, oh, well, you like Kyle Larson because so-and-so likes Kyle. No, that is not true. I picked Kyle Larson the same way I picked Jimmy Johnson as my driver. Whoever won the Atlanta race when Jimmy retired, who I knew already, whoever won, truly Ryan Blaney won, but I had already had my heart kind of set on Larson, which came in second. So technically I should have picked Blaney, but Blaney, my heart wasn't in it. You know what I mean? My heart wasn't there. So that's why I picked Larson. But Corey is, if Corey gets in with the right group, if he stays with who he's with or whatever, I think he's going to go places, and I'm excited to see where he goes. He is a great guy. He has a special place in my heart, and I will always look for him on the track, off the track, wherever, and support him in any way that I can. Doesn't, just because he's not my top driver doesn't mean squat to me. Like I said, he made an impact on all of us, and he has a special place in my heart.
Billy, who liked Kyle Larson first, you or Lisa?
Me.
Okay, Derek.
I did. I picked him. I picked him before the race started. When I found out he was coming back and he's coming to Hendricks, I already picked him.
Okay.
So before Daytona, I picked him.
Now, she did not tell me. She refused to tell me who she picked before I picked my driver.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I was just curious because I know y'all both like Kyle Larson, so I figured somebody had to like him first. And then, that would make whoever liked him second more of a bandwagon-ish fan.
No, Derek. No.
I'm just trying to start some
You're
stuff.
trying to stir the pot. It's okay.
Well, hey, I figured it would make the campsite more entertaining if Corey did swing by. Maybe there'd be some WWE wrestling ropes up.
50 everywhere. That whole camp area is going to be.
There might be some of that
It's going to be where people. You only turn 50 once, Lisa.
This is true.
Well, good deal. Well, Lisa and Billy, I appreciate y'all coming on the Shoe Show. We figured it would be a kind of a cool conversation to have, hearing about what you guys got to go through in Atlanta. So hopefully you got a even cooler story to tell us next year. So we'll wait for that. But any last words before we end it out tonight?
I just wanted to say thanks so much for, having us on and letting us tell our story that's unique, because not a lot of people get to experience that. And like I said, what happened that night have touched our hearts, and we still talk about it today. So it's the coolest thing. It's so nice meeting you guys.
Yes,
And thanks
it was
for
very nice meeting you guys.
welcoming us into the team, the group.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, cool.
Now, is it
Well,
every Tuesday at 8?
What's that?
Is it every Tuesday at 8?
What's that?
No, the show. No, it's whenever we can find the time. You know, we both have full-time jobs, and we need to have guests that we really want to have on. So, you know, we don't
Yeah,
do
we
it
have
every.
a ton. We've been recording for 3 years, so we have, you know, you just go back in our YouTube channel. The Facebook page isn't going to have as much because it hasn't been out as long, but yeah, go to the Shoe Show's YouTube channel, and we have plenty of interviews and good conversations with good people that have cool stories like this. So, but no, basically, just kind of depends on, you know, how life is going and what our opportunities are. This week we have we're actually talking with somebody again tomorrow night, and should be putting out 2 this week. So, you know, kind of just depends on what we got going on. So
Okay.
but cool.
Thank you
Well,
for
I
having
appreciate.
Well,
Yeah,
thank you
thank
guys.
you,
And
guys.
if you're ever in Atlanta, hit us up.
We'll
We'd
do
love
it.
That's the first thing I thought. We have a place to crash now. If
You
we
do?
ever get down there.
Yeah.
You should do. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, look, we're one big family. When you're camping, we're all one big family.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I appreciate y'all, and until next time, y'all, God bless, stay safe, and go Corey LaJoie.